High in the mountains, where the clouds brushed against the temple roofs and the wind carried whispers of silence, there lived an old monk named Tenzin. He was known far and wide for his calm presence. Villagers often said that when he walked through the marketplace, even the noisy chatter of merchants seemed to soften. His face carried no worry, no restlessness. It was as if his heart was untouched by the storms of life. One day, a young man named Arjun traveled up the steep mountain path to the monastery. His life had been filled with conflict, arguments with his family, disappointment in his work, and a gnawing emptiness that no amount of success could fill. He had heard of Tenzin's wisdom and believed that perhaps the monk held the secret to peace. When he finally reached the monastery, exhausted from the climb, he found Tenzin sitting by a small stream, watching the water flow over the stones. Arjun bowed and said, "Master, I have traveled far to find the secret to inner peace. My heart feels heavy, my mind restless. Please, teach me how to be free from this suffering." Tenzin looked at him kindly and gestured for him to sit. For a while, the monk said nothing, and only the sound of water filled the silence. Then he asked, "Tell me, young man, when you hold a cup of water in your hand and stir it, what do you see?" Arjun frowned at the question, unsure of its meaning. "The water becomes cloudy, the dirt rises, and everything is disturbed. And if you set the cup down?" Tenzin asked. Arjun thought for a moment. "The dirt settles, the water becomes clear again." The monk smiled. "That is the mind. You stir it constantly with worries, desires, and anger. But if you allow it to rest, clarity returns on its own. Inner peace is not something you create, it is something you allow." Arjun listened carefully, but he felt unsatisfied. "Master, I understand your words, but my life is full of responsibilities. People hurt me, the world pressures me, and I cannot simply set it all down like a cup of water. How can I be at peace while living in chaos?" Tenzin rose and led him into the monastery garden. There, a group of monks tended to flowers, pulling weeds gently from the soil. He pointed to one young monk who smiled even as his hands were dirty. "Look," Tenzin said, "the weeds do not disturb his joy. Peace does not mean the absence of problems. It means tending to them without letting them control your heart." They walked further until they reached a tree whose roots were wrapped around a large rock. "This tree did not reject the stone," Tenzin continued. "It grew around it, and now it stands tall. In the same way, you cannot remove every obstacle in life, but you can grow around them, using even the weight of difficulties to make your foundation stronger." Arjun began to feel something shift within him. Still, he asked, "But master, what if others insult me, cheat me, or betray me? How can I remain peaceful then?" Tenzin picked up a small bowl, filled it with water, and sprinkled a pinch of salt into it. "Taste this," he instructed. Arjun did, and his face twisted. "It is bitter." Then the monk led him to the stream and threw another pinch of salt into the flowing water. "Now taste." Arjun bent down and sipped. The water was fresh, untouched by bitterness. "Do you see?" Tenzin said softly. "The bitterness of life is like salt. It will always exist. But whether your heart is as small as a bowl or as vast as a river determines how much peace you hold. If you expand your heart, the bitterness no longer defines you." Arjun's eyes filled with tears. For years, he had tried to fight against pain, to control it, to run from it. But the monk's words showed him that peace was not about escaping life. It was about embracing it with a larger heart. He stayed in the monastery for several days, practicing silence, watching his breath, and sitting by the stream. Slowly, he began to notice the space between his thoughts. He realized that peace was not somewhere in the mountains or hidden in a master's teaching. It was already within him, waiting beneath the noise. When the time came for him to leave, Arjun bowed deeply to Tenzin. "Master, I came here searching for the secret to inner peace, but I understand now that it is not something to find, but something to live. Thank you." The monk smiled gently. "Remember, peace is not in the absence of storms, but in the stillness you carry within them. Walk into the world as the river does, vast and unshaken, and you will never be lost." As Arjun descended the mountain, the same problems awaited him: family struggles, work challenges, and disappointments. But this time, he carried within him the calm of the flowing stream. And though the world had not changed, his heart had. He had discovered the true secret of inner peace.